Good morning to you, Nada. So what is the significance of Monday's meeting in Kyiv, especially given the uncertainty over ongoing US funding for Ukraine?
Well, look, Rosemary, this is deeply significant in terms of the symbolism here, particularly on the heels of that decision taken by the US Congress. We heard yesterday from the EU Foreign Affairs Chief Josep Borrell speaking alongside the Ukrainian Foreign Minister, describing this as a clear expression of the will and commitment of European Union member states to continue supporting Ukraine, even in the face of perhaps arguably waning support from some members of the US Congress. Dmitry Kuleba, the Ukrainian Foreign Minister, also echoing that sentiment. He spoke about the significance of this meeting of foreign ministers taking place, perhaps in his words, not in EU borders at this point in time, but in future EU borders. Of course, Ukraine still pushing ahead with hopes that they will be granted membership to the European Union. We heard also yesterday from other representatives of the European Union, other foreign ministers taking part in this Foreign Affairs Council. It was not technically an official sitting of the Foreign Affairs Council, given that it took place outside of EU premises, so no official conclusions or concrete agreements, but we did see some positive indications, particularly when it comes to Ukraine's hopes to join the European Union. Take a listen to this statement from the German Foreign Minister speaking yesterday.
With this Foreign Council of EU foreign ministers, we are taking the European Union to where the heart of Europe beats strongest at the moment. Here in Kyiv, here in Ukraine. Ukraine's future lies in the European Union, in our community of freedom, and it will soon stretch from Lisbon to Luhansk, with every village, with every meter that Ukraine liberates, with every meter where it saves its people. It also paves its way into the European Union.
Now, in addition to proposals of continued and new funding for Ukraine from the European Union, the EU's Foreign Affairs Chief Josep Borrell also spoke about this commitment, saying that this was, in some sense, the EU's membership could be the biggest commitment that these member states could offer Ukraine at this current point in time. Meanwhile, Ukraine's foreign minister said that in their view, they believe this is moving in the right direction, that the Ukrainian government and EU leaders are on the same page when it comes to the prospect of EU membership, that negotiations are, in his view, potentially taking place before the beginning of next year. So that is certainly a positive indication from the European Union. But of course, there are stringent requirements in place for any nation seeking membership of the EU. Ukraine will be no exception to that. And we know that the EU has put forward at least 7 recommendations for reforms to be made in Ukraine, including tackling corruption, money laundering, press freedoms, and minority rights. So there is certainly still a lot to work on there, but clearly a message of commitment, a message of renewed support from the EU for Ukraine.